CHIMAOGE back here again. Thank you to my returning people. For the new people, I'll give you two things. But before that, the subject of today's The Greatest Man Alive segment is the idea that women are obligated to date incarcerated men. Obviously, based on my title, I don't think that's true. I'll get into it, although I think this is simple. At least before you go into the concept of dating. But anyway, first, and again, this is an expanded greeting for the new people, although it's a shorter version of the expanded greeting. Again, two things. First, my government name is CHIMAOGE Aka. My government name is CHIMAOGE Aka. And then second, I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. Let me share the live stream, then we'll get into it more. Abumapare Kejike Kaka. Abumapare Nake Ike Ya. Abumapare Kejike Kaka. Amadio, Amadia. Kalakanu Karakiha. Kalakanu Karanime Huha. Abumamadio Madio Ia. Abum Mamadio Ha. Unodumbo Amadio Ha. Unodumbo Okike Ka. Hayana Hayana. Okay, I see I've registered viewers. I see 20. Thank you. That's the number of Warsaw. Pace, fast. Thank you very much. The gravitational pull and or clout of pace is the god of thunder. Ebubasa, Buamadioha. Yes, the good husband of people. Anyway, thank you. Every view is a blessing. Every view is a blessing. Every comment is a blessing as well. You can comment as you wish. I read comments at my discretion. Please like, share, and subscribe as well. It all helps. It all helps. And you can, of course, patronize my business. More about that at the end. Let me just take stuff out of my pocket here. Kalakanu karakihe ha ha. Abuma madio madio hihe ha ha. Abuma madio madio hihe ha ha. Abu mefefe kefe ha ha. Abu mefefe monemi he ho ha. Abu mefefe ne enu. It's the first time in a while I've had this here on CHIMAOGE's comments. It's a prayer mat, but I like to call it Alamadioha, the land of the good husband of the people, the base of the good husband of the people, just because, I can use it to do this. Very helpful. All right. Let's just take off this jacket. Kalakana karakike kata. Abu mamadio madio ha. Abu mamadio kanime ha. Abu mamadio madio ha. Kalakana karaki ha. All right. I want to first address something to get it out of the way because it's not really the central issue here. The concept of dating is kind of vague, as most people understand it. But I'll just say this: it's sort of subjective, to keep it quickly, when a romantic relationship begins or ends. But obviously, generally speaking, if you can't have physical contact with someone, it's very hard to have a romantic relationship. And I'll leave it at that. So just keep that in mind with everything I'm saying. Okay. So I've just heard a lot of talk online, and I didn't really know exactly what. Well, I knew what to do with it. I just didn't know when to comment. But I've heard a lot of talk online about um, men who are incarcerated and dating, and I'm going to limit this to men for now, just because that's what I've heard about. Right? Obviously, most of the people in the world who are incarcerated today are men. Um, so it just is what it is. That's a gender spread. At the very least, male individuals. So that lends itself to the spread, rightly or wrongly. I'm just gonna leave that there for now. Um, yeah, I'll just leave that there. I won't really go into that on this live. Obviously, there are women who are incarcerated. It's just this is what the people seem to be talking about. But most of the chatter has been about whether or not women are obligated to a continue to date men who've become incarcerated, or B, give a chance to men they've met or heard of while they're incarcerated. I think this whole discourse, well, there have been many people, particularly men, like in the manosphere, things like that, who said that women should go forward with these relationships and really have implied that they are obligated to. And then, I've seen a lot of other commentary that has that kind of underlying implication. Let me just move. Kalakanu kara ihe nuwa. Abuma madio madio hihe ha. Abuma madio ha ni mengwa. Abuma madio ha ba be. Abuma madio ha paw pa. Kalakanu kacha abuma madio ha. Kalakanu macha ni madio ha. Abuma madio ha ba. So yeah, I just don't think those comments are appropriate at all. Really, um, I'll just say it's a subset of what, and I don't say this lightly, it's a subset of what I would just call sacrilege to just make those kind of demands for two reasons. One, we just have to be honest. Many people who do get incarcerated have done something wrong. Obviously, the prison system is not just. Again, I always say house arrest instead of putting them in that box, and then it's a different conversation, kind of, and I'll leave it at that. But it just happens that a lot of people have done something wrong. We really have an issue of not, you know, everyone is innocent and they punish them. We have an issue of one, you know, giving inappropriate treatment to people who've done something wrong, and two, there's a large percentage, you can debate about whether or not it's a majority or minority, but there's a large percentage of people who get punished in the prison system who have not done anything wrong. So it's just a case of absurd upper level jungle justice. Let me move. Kalakanu ka 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 ka. Kalakanu ka ka ka. So yeah, because of that, and again, I always walk when I just feel like moving. I don't want to just stand in front of the camera all the time. Um, Because of that, it is just reasonable for anyone to be a little suspicious of the character of someone who has been incarcerated. Obviously, they should be taken out of their situation, but and then it should be delineated whether or not they're actually guilty. But it's reasonable to be suspicious, and I'll leave it at that. Obviously, depending on the situation and how well you know someone and whether or not you're part of their family, right? And when I say family, I mean their gene pool, like a blood relative, okay? You know, there's different levels of reasonableness of doubt, but you know, you can be suspicious of that. So if you limit it to the parameters that people are talking about, a woman who I guess is deciding whether or not to date a man who's incarcerated, it's reasonable for her to be like, well, maybe he did something. I don't want to get involved. I don't think his character is right for me. And then two, of equal importance, it is just very hard to have a relationship with an incarcerated person because you can't see them. I know some prisons and some situations allow for some visitation rights, but to my understanding, I mean, I'm not even going to say to my understanding. Obviously, you can't be there every night. That would be an exceptional situation. And then in most cases, like, you know, they might not let you even do a non-contact visit every day. And then what is a non-contact visit? You're there, you look at them, maybe you talk to them through that phone. Again, I don't know how it works. I mean, for transparency, I've never been to prison. Like most people, I've never been. Well, okay, most people in the world have never been to prison. I've seen. I'll just say this: there are different statistics about the percentage of black men who've been to prison. Some say it's a minority, others say it's a majority. I don't know, but you know, a lot of us have not been, at least. And then most people in general have not been to prison. I've never been to prison. Anyway, so I don't have knowledge from that. I've never visited a prison or anything. All I've seen is maybe clips from TV, both news reporting, and then obviously you have you know, fictional scenarios. So you know, I don't know exactly how they make it work, but I know obviously there's a lot of, for the most part, the default is you can't have any physical contact with the person. And then a lot of prisons are obviously far away from where most people live. So, you know, if you can't even touch the person, why is anyone demanding you have a romantic relationship with them? It's like, it's just like a non-starter. So it's just a ridiculous discourse. And you know, there's a lot of things people say, but it's very simple. Like we really need to look into what's behind the people saying that. There might be a lot of things I don't know, but it's just one of those ridiculous things that comes up with manosphere and red pill talking points, making extraordinary demands and critiques of women in general. I mean, really, the focus when it comes to incarcerated men and incarcerated people in general is just changing their situation. House arrest instead of prison, and then just, you know, cleanse the land, because those prisons are abominations. But yeah, and then obviously, when someone's under house arrest, they can receive visitors. It's just a matter of whether or not someone wants to visit them, and they're under supervision. And then, of course, we need to improve um, our effectiveness in judging whether or not someone is actually guilty and just getting rid of crime in general, because these situations shouldn't even exist. But I just wanted to put that out there. I just thought of that. I've been seeing stuff like that for years, and then recently I'd seen a couple videos, so I just wanted to comment. Anyway. Yeah, so that's it. Anyway, I'll go. I'll really go to like the 20-minute mark. And then I'm gonna do something else. I want to do other live streams tonight, but I might do something else between them. So yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. Yeah, but just don't make that kind of absurd demand. It is what it is. Anyway, to talk about business, how you can patronize my business. You can obviously buy my art. You can that's on Patreon, the Patreon shop. You can what is it also? You can buy my merchandise in my Streamlabs shop. You can subscribe on Patreon. There's a free subscription, but with the paid subscription, you get access to various benefits. And then you can donate. You can donate on PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. And of course, my GoFundMe, still not yet full, so you can use that as well. Anyway, that's what you can do. Thank you. Let me walk again. Let's take this. Abu make them bon koma kaka. Abu make them bon koma nuwa. Abu mama you anyway. Abu mama you lazy. Is it what I can do kaka kaka? Is it what I can do anyway? Is it what I can do anyway? Is it what I can do anyway? Let me just say something in more depth again, just for clarification, just to avoid confusion. Um, I'm not advocating that you automatically assume someone who's been incarcerated is guilty. That's just not right, because there's a lot of wrongs in the prison system, okay? I'm just saying that a lot of people are guilty. So, especially if someone doesn't know someone they were thinking of dating that well or whatever, it's reasonable for them to back off. You just can't make that blind demand. So that was all I was saying with the first point. It is what it is. Anyway. Alakanu kaka kaka. Alakanu kakienua. Mamadu haniwe uha. Mamadu haniwe uha. Iwe amadiyo habuka. Iwe amadiyo habuka. Iwe kaka. Kalakanu ne iwe. Abu Mamadu hanibe. Abu Mamadu hanibe. Abu Mamadu hanibe. Kalakanu kaniwe. Abu Mamadu hanibe. I'm amazing. I'm Okike Kaka. I am Okike Kakaraya. I am Okike Nakarata. All right, see you next time. Thank you very much.